Thank you. Matt, if we could have roll call.
Councilor Hanson,
Here.
Batolo,
Here.
Robinson,
Here.
Allen,
Here.
Demus,
Here.
Pedri,
Here.
Zadi, Hickerson,
Here.
Mayor Mickelson.
Here. Okay, that takes us to our consent agenda.
We got to nominate a president.
Oh, thank you. I knew that too. Do we have a nomination?
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to nominate Larry Hickerson.
Thank you, Councilor Batolo. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Pedri. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, motion carries. With that takes us, thank you, to our consent agenda. We have approval of minutes from the City Council meeting minutes of August 15th, 2023, special City Council meeting minutes of August 28th, 2023, officer and staff reports, financial report summary, July of 2023, fiscal year 2023 abstract statement, the Rock Springs Renewal Fund financial statements for May of 2023, council and committee and board reports. We have the Joint Powers Telecom Board meeting minutes of July 14th, 2023, Joint Powers Combined Communications Board meeting minutes of July 17th, 2023, and the Sweetwater County Travel and Tourism Board approved budget. In correspondence, we have a thank you note from Huddle Up Rock Springs for the mayor and city councilors purchase advertising space.
Hold.
Thank you note from the Boys and Girls Club of Sweetwater County for the city sponsorship of the 2023 Rod and Rails Car Show. Thank you note from the Staying in Motion Foundation for the city's donation of an annual golf pass for their golf tournament, and a thank you letter from the Rock Springs Chamber of Commerce regarding appropriation funding. Okay, so I'd look for a motion to approve the consent agenda, accepting the thank you note from Huddle Up.
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilor Hickerson. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Demus. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Okay, then I would look for a motion regarding the thank you note from Huddle Up to accept it.
So moved, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Hickerson. Is that a second, Councilor Batolo?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So I just wanted to explain that as a part of the city council and I's efforts to build connections with the community and with the youth of our community specifically, that when the opportunity came forward to sponsor the Huddle Up Club with their advertisements on the scoreboard at the football field, that we chose to purchase one, but we did that out of pocket. So that was not done with city funds. That was done from our own funds. And I just wanted everybody to be aware that we weren't using public funds to do that. So with that, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Which brings us to our first topic for council discussion of this evening, which is decriminalization of marijuana. This came about because the city of Cheyenne is considering taking a stance, and when they decided that they were going to consider taking a stance, WAM, the Wyoming Association of Municipalities, felt like they would take that up at the next legislative session as a lobbying position. The city of Rock Springs, for various reasons, is the only municipality or town in the state that does not belong to WAM. So the only way for our city's voice to be heard is for the council to discuss it, and then at a subsequent meeting, take action on what our position is so that our legislators are aware of how we feel about it as a city. So with that, I would turn it over to the council to have that conversation.
Your Honor.
Councilor Hickerson?
I'd like to ask Chief Erstbaumer what his thoughts on decriminalization of marijuana would be. We can wing it.
Counselor, Your Honor, on the surface, I think it's natural for law enforcement to be hesitant on any sort of decriminalization or legalization conversations. But I don't know even where this conversation is headed. So I don't know if we're talking medical use of marijuana or if we're just completely decriminalizing. I don't know where we're heading. I think for me to take a hard stance that I'm against it would be the wrong approach. I talked to the Wyoming chiefs and Sheriff's Association about their stance on this. And what they recommended, and I agree with, is that essentially law enforcement wants to take an educational stance in that we can provide educational resources for you guys so that you can make informed decisions. But for me, as law enforcement, to say I'm hard against it, I think would probably be the wrong approach. It's an expected response, I'm sure, from everybody from law enforcement. So I have resources that I can offer you guys, some educational materials. They do come from WASCOP. So I could see how someone may think they're biased one way or another. When I go through them, they seem to be pretty factual, and so you can draw your own conclusions from that. But if the council would be interested in that, we could probably arrange either a presentation or just electronically, maybe some PowerPoint presentations or something like that.
Your Honor, I would suggest that we look into some statistics and anything that you can provide so that we have a as well-rounded knowledge as we can.
Absolutely. I'll reach out to my contacts and see how quickly we can arrange either for them to come out here or to send some materials your way.
Could you also ask them if they could make sure to provide information on the organic effects of THC? So frequently, people who have an underlying genetic predisposition will be THC users and then develop schizophrenia or clinical depression and suicidal ideation. And we're already fairly heavily underserved as a community for mental health. And so I'd be curious to see what the numbers are on how many people experience that.
Your Honor,
Sir.
I think one of the things that we really need to kind of focus on is the difference between legalization of marijuana and decriminalization of marijuana. One of the aspects to look at with decriminalization is it's basically taking potential felony charges out of the equation, or multiple or jail time or fines. It seems like it's legalization because there are no more penalties for that. But I think the mental health aspect of it is absolutely imperative. The chief and I had a discussion about it after the last meeting, and we discussed some of the issues with the high level of THC, which I definitely see as an issue. But when we've got businesses in our community that are essentially selling marijuana over the counter, and it can be accessed by anybody legally because it's called hemp, and the percentage is a low enough level that it they say it's a low level, but there's really not much testing done to see whether it really is a high concentrate or a low concentrate. But it's essentially being sold, and there's no enforcement of that. And that's not a dig at the police department because their hands are kind of tied based on what the state has done on the state level as far as, hemp regulations. So let's focus on the fact that it's decriminalization. One of the things that I'm leaning towards being in favor of decriminalization is many people who ended up getting, a misdemeanor marijuana charge. That's on their record forever. If they get, now they're limited in possible job prospects later on down the road. If they get cited third time or convicted on a third time, it's now a felony. So now they've got a felony record, which affects voting rights and hunting rights and all kinds of different aspects of lives. And I think that I think that the criminal penalties for marijuana is maybe outweighed by the benefits of somebody maybe not having these charges on their record later on down in life. And it can affect. I mean, Chief, how many people in that try to be police officers have smoked marijuana? Well, let's hypothetically, let's say that a new officer or a prospective officer comes and says, "Hey, I want to work for Rock Springs PD, but you know what? When I was in college, I had a tendency maybe to smoke a bowl or two."
Yeah, we do see that a lot, actually. It's a 3-year rule right now to apply for the police department. You can't have used marijuana in the last 3 years. We are seeing a lot of applicants from Colorado who have used much more frequently than that, and they're disqualified. So
Would you
Like
say,
it or not, that's, we'll
sure,
see.
sure. Do you think that everybody who has smoked marijuana is automatically unqualified to be a police officer just for that reason? Let's say that they realize, halfway through, maybe they wanted to be an attorney. They were going through a law program at UW and decided, you know what, I don't want to be an attorney. I want to be a cop. So they change their mind halfway through and decide, you know what, it was a year ago that, I smoked weed last time, but I'd really like to be a police officer because, the rule of law matters. But they can't because they smoked weed in college.
Yeah, I think some time of separation from use and enforcing that would be, I'm in favor of some, time frame on that. You can't just decide that, hey, I'm clean today and I want to be a cop now, and you've used in the last, 2 weeks. So whatever time frame that is, and maybe there's an open case against you, you don't even know.
Sure.
I would be in favor of some time frame, but using marijuana is not an automatic disqualifier unless it's in that 3-year time frame. But what is the time frame that's acceptable? I guess. Sure. I'm not sure.
I just think it's important to have this talk.
Well, Your Honor, my question would be, as far as decriminalizing, Cheyenne passed an ordinance, correct?
They didn't pass an
Or
ordinance.
not
What
an they passed
a resolution to basically just send a letter to the legislature saying we support the decriminalization. So
Was there any discussion of, like quantities, how much you could have on you, or?
in the articles I read, I didn't see anything. I think maybe it was 2 ounces.
Because I looked and I never did see.
Yeah,
anything.
and I don't think that decriminalization of the use and possession of small amounts, I don't think that's the same as, pulling somebody over and they've got, 20 pounds of weed or 100 marijuana plants growing in their basement. I think that there's probably a line, but it may not be as black and white as
Right.
a lot of people think it probably should be.
No, and that is, I think, important that we also bear in mind that is all that we would be doing is sending a letter to our legislators to say we are in favor or against decriminalizing. We don't have any authority to actually criminalize or decriminalize anything. And it would be, I think, very helpful to have that information, and then we could have another visit about it.
I agree.
Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm in favor of medical marijuana. I think it would help with people with cancer and stuff.
We see in my field a lot of people, especially folks who have seizure disorders, benefit greatly. And then there are some folks whose disorders cause them to be very disinterested in food. And they literally will starve to death. And then you have to go through a very difficult process to get the synthetic medical marijuana. It is a great hardship because these folks are also on very limited incomes, and Medicare will not cover it. So once they get Medicare, they lose access to that medication, and then they end up having friends run them to Colorado to bring pot gummies back here so that they don't die. And so that is certainly a consideration.
Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
I think if we do proceed with this kind of discussion and stuff like that, I think it's good that we do it. I do believe we have to proceed with caution, as there's so many doors, just that in a few minutes, we've talked about it here, that there's so many questions, so many doors, so many different perceptions as to what we're looking at or what we're going to try to go with or support or not support, that I just feel that we need to really be cautious as we proceed with this discussion.
Agreed. And that's where it'd be good to have better information, to have a more informed conversation. So I'd appreciate it.
I don't know. I only saw this. Sorry, I only saw this posted on one of the local news pages on Facebook. So I don't know how many people. I know there's probably a few people here in the public that would like to talk about it, and I encourage them to do so. We may have to have more than one conversation though, because it's funny that we had more people here for chickens than we have for a discussion like this. So we may have to have maybe another date when we'll get a few more people in here, maybe word of mouth that, this conversation is happening, because I would like to get a lot more. The more information we have, the better informed we can be in making that call on what we want to do.
Yeah, I agree. Better we can represent what the community wants.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Very good. Okay, so we have a plan. Good?
Yep.
Good. Love it. Okay, so we will move on from decriminalization of marijuana to the BLM Draft Resource Management Plan revision discussion. The BLM has a proposed land use plan that is out for public comment. The link to provide a written public comment is included in the agenda material. If they go with their preferred plan, it essentially sets 3.6 million acres in Sweetwater County aside, prohibiting all human use. No hunting, no camping, no side-by-sides, no mining. I mean, it completely obliterates economic development. And I think it is extremely critical that everybody use their voice to tell them that is not what we want as a community or as a society. They're having a public comment meeting September 27th at the BLM office out off of 191 on September 27th from 3 to 6 p.m. And I think it's very important that as many people as possible not only provide their written comment, but show up in person to let them know that their preferred plan, which I believe was option B, is not our preferred plan. That a big part of why we live here is to have that access to those open spaces, whether you're super into nature and like to go out and take pictures of flowers, or if you're big into having sales and use tax and like mining, whatever the reason that you have as an individual, that you're choosing to live here in this environment to take advantage of that. And those are my thoughts. Council?
I'm glad you listed the time and date. That's something that needs to be out there too. And it really needs to be pushed towards people that use those lands. I mean, I don't hunt. I don't have a side-by-side, but I walk my dogs in the desert all the time. And when I'm out there, I see a lot of side-by-sides. I see people, recreating and doing the things that they love to do. And I think that, this is one of those cases where if enough people know that those opportunities may be limited, then they'll definitely show up at the meeting. So by all means, be there.
Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
I would say I'm a fan of alternative A, where no action is done and we go ahead and just use this land as we need it.
Yeah. I agree.
The 1997 Green River Resource Management Plan.
It is a huge, I think it's like 640 pages long. It is not riveting reading, but you get to the summary on page, what page is this? It's about page 15, somewhere in there anyway, and it breaks down the acreage and the restrictions and what that would look like. And it is, whether that was intended or not, and I've not had enough interaction with BLM to know or guess at their motives, it is a fundamental assault on our entire way of life. And it is a gross overreach of their duties. They, in their preferred plan, they're very proud of the fact that those 3.6 million acres would be available and set aside for the wild horses. And I know that there are some people who are huge fans, but that is an invasive species.
They're feral, not wild.
Yeah. And this winter, they did very well at the expense of ranchers and of our mule deer and antelope populations. All of the hay that was put out to feed the cattle and the food that was put out eventually to help our wildlife was completely co-opted by the wild horses. So they're going gangbusters. And I don't think that we need a 3.6 million acre wild horse preserve here in Sweetwater County.
I agree with that. I spent this week, Sunday out in the desert. I saw one antelope. Now, 100 miles of desert. I saw plenty of horses.
Okay.
And I enjoyed the petroglyphs, and I enjoyed the roads that were already there. And to have our way of life changed like that is, I can't believe that this is even a question.
It shows a pretty severe disconnect between the community that they're supposed to be a part of and supporting, and their plans for it.
I would think that I would think that the economic impact alone would just be absolutely counterproductive to whatever it seems like they are trying to accomplish. You know.
Agreed. My understanding is that they would then sell leases to people who wanted to conserve or preserve the land, and then those people could request BLM go in and remove roads and remove fences and restore it, because there's no reason to have those things if people aren't allowed in. And it is really an unnecessary overreach. Okay, anybody else? Very good. So that concludes the discussion for this evening and brings us to our bid openings.
Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
before we move on, I would like to take a moment and recognize Officers Duchamp and Kolb for their very fast reaction time and the way they handled the situation. I was on the intersection of Central Boulevard and Elk Street, witnessed a car accident, and them two officers did in fact beat the fire department in response time. Them, I don't know if they were just like sitting at the C-store or what, but I was very impressed with how fast they got there and how well they managed the situation. So since they get flack all the time, I figured it was time they finally got some positive recognition. Thanks.
Well, the donut shop is on the entire opposite part of town, so I can say that. I can say that.
Well, very good, thank you. It's always good to hear. And I'm sure it is appreciated by one of our chiefs. Okay, so our first bid is for concrete replacement project phase 2. We have one bid from D. Bernardi Construction here in Rock Springs. I don't know. It's probably in that thing, but I struggle more to use the letter opener than I do to just rip it open. Okay, total bid is $483,200, and there is a bid bond. I'm just gonna hand this mess to you. Yeah. You're welcome. It wasn't me. The next bid we have is for the crack seal project phase 2, and we have one bid from R&D Sweeping and Asphalt, and they are here in Rock Springs.
Go on.
The total bid amount is $73,948.25, and there is a bid bond.
Oh yeah, you get it in without the tip.
Our next bid is for Parks and Recreation vehicles. We have two bids, one from Fremont Motor of Rock Springs and one from Fremont Motor of Lander. Do Rock Springs first, because it was on top. Okay, got a cashier's check. And the total bid amount is $161,910. They must have watched the last meeting. They,
Two Fremonts competing against
Yeah.
each other. I'm guessing.
I think it counts anyway.
Sure.
Rick, it's bond or check, right?
I'm sorry,
Oh, sorry. They sent their bid and a check.
for the bond.
Yeah, yeah. We were just double checking.
$161,910.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. President. Okay, and this is from Fremont Motor Co. and Lander. Got this one double sealed. They also sent a cashier's check. They did not send a summary sheet telling me what the total is. Can I just say that the cashier's check is this amount and it's 5% of the bid? Oh, there we go. There's 161,853.14.
Was it 161?
61,853.14 and then they have 65,603.14. And it looks like 15,886.50. And then they've got three more. They did them all separately. So 41,140.
Let me get your calculator.
42, $40. And then 52, 719.64. 53, 219.64. That looks like all of it. So we will turn these over to staff to be evaluated and look forward to their recommendation.
Your Honor, what was the last amount you read? Sorry.
$53, 219.64. There's three separate cashier's checks in there.
You're so sweet.
I do my best. Okay. That brings us to presentations and proclamations. The first this evening is for Blood Cancer Awareness Month. And I don't see, she is currently at the City of Green River Council meeting for their proclamation because we did them all on the same day. And so she'll be here in a little bit, so I'm just going to go ahead with it. An estimated 1,297,027 people in the United States are either living with or in remission from leukemia, lymphoma, or myeloma. And new cases of leukemia, lymphoma, or myeloma are expected to account for 9.4% of the estimated 1,958,310 new cancer cases that will be diagnosed in the United States in 2023. Approximately every 3 minutes, one person in the U.S. is diagnosed with leukemia, lymphoma, or myeloma. And an estimated combined total of 184,720 people in the United States are expected to be diagnosed with leukemia, lymphoma, or myeloma in 2023. And approximately every 9 minutes, someone in the U.S. dies from a blood cancer. And leukemias are the most common cancers in children and account for approximately 28% of all childhood cancers. nonprofit organizations such as, oh, perfect timing. Yeah. The Leukemia and Lymphoma Society are dedicated to curing leukemia, lymphoma, and myeloma through funding blood cancer research and providing education and patient services. Researchers and healthcare professionals work diligently, dedicating their expertise to treat and cure blood cancers. And Sweetwater County is committed to the eradication of blood cancers and supports the treatment of its citizens that suffer from them. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Max Mickelson, Mayor of the City of Rock Springs, do hereby declare September 2023 to be Blood Cancer Awareness Month in the City of Rock Springs, and I encourage all to observe Blood Cancer Awareness Month and support this cause that so deeply impacts families in our communities as well as those across the country. And would you like to come up and...
I'm so sorry I'm late. I just did this in Green River and did not speed to get over here.
No, your
Perfect.
timing was impeccable.
Perfect. Are we just talking leukemia or did you read both of them?
We just did leukemia.
All right. So September is a really busy month. There are a lot of causes in September that are really important to our community. The first one is that I'm going to talk about is leukemia awareness. As Mayor Mickelson read, it affects a lot of people, and unfortunately in today's times, everybody knows somebody affected, right? And it's anything that we can do to bring awareness to our community on these things I think is really important. We're very lucky that the Sweetwater Regional Cancer Center, our medical oncology unit, our physician there is a hematology oncologist. So if you break all of that fun stuff down, hematology is blood disorders, and then oncology is cancer physician. So we're lucky to have that specialty here. Of course, not everybody fighting a blood cancer gets their treatment here. There are those rare cases and specific cases that still have to travel, but we're very lucky to have those. So part 1 of 2 is just talking about and bringing awareness to leukemia, lymphoma, and myeloma.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would you like to tackle childhood cancer?
Not really, but here we are. September also is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. It's not a topic that I love talking about, but it's something that we really probably should talk about. Earlier when I was with the commission, we talked about how everybody knows it's there, but we don't really talk about it because it's just tragic, right? Why to lose a kiddo, it's just stupid. But really we don't do a lot in our community with childhood cancer, and I say it's good and bad. It's good because we don't have the volume, so it's good that it's not needed. But for the people that do need it, to be blunt, it sucks, right? We all go through hell having to travel to go down to primaries in Utah, or a lot of kiddos end up going to Denver as well. Those are kind of our 2 key points for childhood cancer awareness, and anything that we can do to bring that and really bring that to the forefront that, I'm Tiffany Marshall today, and I'm not representing anything other than just being a community member, and it just sucks, right? It sucks, it's not fun, and nobody wants to talk about it. So trying to be as politically correct but blunt as I can, it's just something we want to bring awareness to, and it's something that we really want to talk about even though we don't want to. And as you hear some of the stats in that declaration, it's pretty eye-opening. So one of the stats, and I butcher it all the time, but there's been 6 drugs approved in the last, I think, 30 years. So to just put that in perspective, so we battled infant acute lymphoblastic leukemia for my son. In his 30-day first round of chemo, he had 10 different drugs. So to think about only 6 drugs have been approved in the last, I think, 30 years, but for one specific variant of one specific cancer, it took 10 for 1 round of chemo. It's really eye-opening. So we just want to take September to spread that awareness a little bit, and nobody wants to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it, but I think it's really important that we do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Childhood cancer is the leading cause of death by disease in children. 1 in 285 children in the United States will be diagnosed by their 20th birthday. The average age of diagnosis is 6 years old. 46 children per day, or 16,790 children per year, are diagnosed with cancer in the United States. 80% of childhood cancer patients are diagnosed late and with metastatic disease. On average, there's been a 0.6% increase in incidence per year since the mid-1970s, resulting in an overall incidence increase of 24% over the last 40 years. 2/3 of childhood cancer patients will have chronic health conditions as a result of their treatment toxicity, with 1/4 being classified as severe to life-threatening. Approximately 1/2 of childhood cancer families rate the associated financial toxicity due to out-of-pocket expenses as considerable to severe. The National Cancer Institute recognizes the unique research needs of childhood cancer and the associated need for increased funding to carry this out. Hundreds of nonprofit organizations at the local and national level, including the American Childhood Cancer Organization, are helping children with cancer, as well as their families cope through educational, emotional, and financial support. Research and healthcare professionals work diligently, dedicating their expertise to treat and cure children with cancer. Too many children are affected by this deadly disease, and more must be done to raise awareness and find a cure. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Max Mickelson, Mayor of the City of Rock Springs, do hereby declare September 2023 to be Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in the City of Rock Springs, and I encourage all to observe Childhood Cancer Awareness Month and support this cause that so deeply impacts families in our communities, as well as those across the country. Okay. Do you guys want to all join me?
Sure.
Walk him up for the picture.
Come on, for sports.
Age before beauty.
Notice how I'm moving the phone. Yeah, you did great.
Well, you told me to stand right there.
No, I know you can't.
I just didn't want to.
Can only get a little bit on each side then.
Okay. Side.
Our next proclamation is for Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. If there are folks who'd like to come address us.
Hi, my name's Kari Cochran. I am thankful to help raise awareness for suicide prevention. Listening to her talk, I think about those people who also struggle from mental things that happen and depression and anxiety and all those things that also lead people to suicide awareness, to suicide sometimes. And we don't have the resources here like we should. Thanks, Larry. I lost my son in February, sorry. And I tried many of things. And I know that we are short-staffed and short-handed in all aspects of our community and our state. We aren't funding it like we need to. We aren't providing different opportunities. We don't want to talk about it because it's uncomfortable. It's really hard to admit that you have a problem. And it's really hard to be honest. And we need to work as a community and a state to get better information out and make it more comfortable for people to talk about it and to get help. I know I tried lots of different avenues. I tried lots of different things. I know sometimes people don't know, and you don't know if people are struggling because they don't talk about it. But sometimes people do, and you know that they're struggling. And even in those aspects, I really struggled to find any avenue to help. And so I'm thankful that we're bringing this forward. I'm thankful for the conversations that I've been able to have and for helping to raise awareness. I'd like to see something more here in the community where people can gather and have conversations and brainstorm and bring things forward for our youth and moving up. I think it's something that the more we make kids and teenagers aware of having comfortable conversations and recognizing these things, the more we're going to change the environment that they're going to grow up in, because we're going to make it more comfortable and more accessible and okay, because it is okay to not be okay. I don't know what else.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
I can't believe the amount of courage you two ladies have had tonight to be able to stand up and talk about such tough issues. We need more people like you in this community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor. Yes, sir. Curry, I can't believe that you can even be up there. You know, we've been friends for a long time. So when Jordan died, you know, I've been following him through you know, for decades. And so it's incredible how much of an impact somebody that you barely know. I didn't know Jordan. I'd seen him, you know, at various sporting events and stuff, but I knew you. And to see your actions in the event after, or in the days after this happened, is just, it's inspiring. But what can we as a city council, what can our state legislators do to, you know, to make an impact? I mean, I know that they funded the, I think it's the 988 system for the suicide prevention hotline. You know, but I think that more needs to be done. Wyoming is back to number 1 in the United States on the suicide rate. I mean, it's an epidemic. And I don't think that we as a governing body and those on the state level have done enough. And if you guys have any thoughts or ideas of what we can do, you know, at least on our local level to help, please let us know. Because, I mean, it affects every single one of us.
Thank you. I have lots of ideas and lots of different things. I just did a fundraiser, and I lost my son on February 3rd of 2023, and I raised $2,323 to donate to the Mayor Kane Foundation for suicide prevention. But I want it to stay. It is going to go to a Wyoming place, and Marlene is going to go with her sister and walk in California to raise money in Wyoming. But I want a place to give that money here to help our families and to help our kids and to help us be able to offer support to people and be able to, sometimes people don't get the help because they can't afford it. They can't get in anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, these are all problems, and the amount of parents and kids that have reached out to me with struggles since losing Joran is heartbreaking. And they've been struggling with problems for years. And some of these kids have had health issues that have triggered some of these things. And they've fought different pieces in their life that I can't even imagine fighting as a kid. And I think we need to bring something more local and make it more, you know, even doing walks and doing different things to get people together and make sure that they know it's okay. But to also figure out how to support people and get more funding. Like, we're short counselors, you know, we have grant funded funding, but we can't hire people because people aren't paying enough, and we have to get some of those wages up and provide safer places for our kids too, by having even a bigger high school to where kids have more space to go and feel comfortable. Kids don't feel comfortable talking about things because they don't have room to go anywhere and be private with a teacher or, you know, multiple people. But even the counselors at the high school, we they're so busy doing a million things that kids feel run down. I know that the district, I had a kid reach out today that through the academies, they're doing some or some student training in order to teach the kids who are going into our elementary kids as a mentor how to better assess kids if they were to be struggling and how to connect with them on a mental health level, which is wonderful, but we need to do it for all kids and we need to do it for all people. In Jackson, their city does, is it QPR? Anyone? No? Question. But they provide that often and free to the citizens within Jackson on a regular basis so that it helps for people to be able to question, to know how to ask questions and to know where to help advise them where to go. And I think offering things like that as a benefit to our community as a whole. I mean, a lot of times kids hear you say something, or adults. I mean, I know I was in 9th grade the first time I lost a friend to suicide, and I'll never in a million years forget it. Ever. And his mom reached out to me, which was so sweet. And I know that here I am standing at 41 and she's still grieving the fact that she'll never get to see her kid, and I won't either. And some people leave behind kids, a whole family. And so then these kids are walking around motherless, fatherless. I mean, this is an issue and an epidemic that hurts us all. And I bet there's not a single person in the room that hasn't been affected by suicide, mental health, anxiety, depression. I mean, it all goes down. People hit all of these different roller coasters going through all that stuff all the time. And I want to help in one small step at a time if I can to help anyone to not have to go through this type of pain. Because you'll never stop asking why. Or what could I do? Who could I have asked? And so it's important for us to ask those questions for the people who can't and figure out how to help.
Well, I think being there for the people that are reaching out to you is probably the first step in helping. And I think that you're doing that.
It is certainly a profound act of love for you to come and speak and to publicly be this vulnerable. It is very appreciated. And I would imagine that it is certainly within our ability, although, to put together a group to look at what we can do and what steps maybe we can take with other governmental agencies to better meet that need. And we can look to our good senator to provide us funding to address that, because we do lead the nation, and the cost to families and to our communities is not calculable. So thank you, Kari.
Thank you.
September is known throughout the United States as National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month and is intended to help promote awareness surrounding each of the suicide prevention resources available to us and our community. Our goal is to learn how to help those around us and how to talk about suicide without increasing the risk of harm. Suicide prevention requires a comprehensive, multi-level approach that encompasses strategies for prevention, early intervention, treatment, and postvention after a death has occurred. Suicidal thoughts can affect anyone regardless of age, gender, race, orientation, income level, religion, or background. According to the United States Center for Disease Control, each year more than 41,000 people die by suicide. As such, it is the 10th leading cause of death among adults in the United States and the second leading cause of death amongst people aged 10 to 24. The city of Rock Springs, Wyoming is no different than any other community in the country, but chooses to publicly state and place its full support behind local educators, mental health professionals, athletic coaches, scout leaders, police officers, and parents as partners in supporting our community simply by being available to one another. Every member of our community should understand that throughout life's struggles, we all need the occasional reminder that we are all silently fighting our own battles. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Max Mickelson, Mayor of the City of Rock Springs, do hereby declare September 2023 to be Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month in the City of Rock Springs. And we encourage all residents to take the time to inquire as to the well-being of their family, friends, and neighbors over the next month, and to genuinely convey their appreciation for their existence by any gesture they deem appropriate. A simple phone call, message, handshake, or hug can go a long way towards helping someone realize that suicide is not the answer. Would you all be in a picture? Would you all be in a picture? Absolutely. Okay, that concludes our presentations and proclamations and brings us to public hearings. Our first public hearing is on an application for transfer of a retail liquor license by 307 Horse Racing, Inc., doing business as 307 Horse Racing, located at 1030 Dewar Drive, Rock Springs, Wyoming. Would anyone like to speak? If you'd identify yourself and who, if anyone, you represent, please.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name's Jack Greer. I'm here on behalf of 307 Horse Racing. I'm co-founder and president of the company. Give you a little backstory on the company. We started in 2021 with our first horse race and opening of our first off-track betting facility. We now have 8 locations across the state, 1 in Gillette, 1 in Sheridan, 2 in Casper, 1 in Douglas, 1 in Riverton, 1 in Rollins, and 1 in Cheyenne. We look forward to the opportunity to be in Rock Springs. Have had the itch to get here for a little while. It just took us a little longer than we had hoped. We currently conduct our 16 days of live racing in Gillette at the Camplex Energy Downs. We distributed a little over $1 million in purse money this year. We employ just under 300 people right now, including restaurants and auxiliary entertainment. Locally owned and operated. I'm a 5th generation Wyomingite. I was born here. Been born here a long time, obviously, for the generations. Horse racing, also 5 generations deep in my family. Very passionate about both. I started this company to be the local operator, owned and operated here in Wyoming, and we are the only operator that can say that today. So with that, I'm happy to stand for any questions, but really look forward to the opportunity to be a part of the community here.
Very good. Council? Okay.
Nothing.
Nope. I think we're good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak to this particular 307 horse racing? Okay, then we'll close that public hearing and move on to a public hearing regarding a proposal to combine justice assistance grant funding with the City of Rock Springs and Sweetwater County in the amount of $13,100. Would anyone like to speak to this? Going once, going twice. Sold. And now I have the Grundy County auction song in my head. Okay, that brings us to petitions and public comment. If you'd like to come up and speak and identify yourself and who, if anyone, you represent, we would appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor and councilors. My name is Fred Von Ahrens, just represent myself and my wife. Live out in Sweetwater County and in Sweetwater Station. It's been a while since I've been here. We've got an ongoing issue, but when I really look through the master plan, I'm simply asking for a resolution just to clean up one table that may lend itself to confusion, table 3.3. When I read through the master plan and when I moved in and looked into the master plan, it was quite clear that the city did an outstanding job creating a residential zone area called RE, Rural Estates. It's the reason why I moved to the city versus the county. The zoning district, the purpose of the RE, Rural Estate Zone, is to provide for the development at a very low density of single-family detached dwellings in subdivided areas of the community where it is desirable to maintain a semi-rural environment, particularly within the city and county interface boundary. Quite frankly, that's very similar to the RMP Proposal B, which is why I feel like we're being closed out. We moved in to want to have a phase one in a open area. That's why I moved to this area of Wyoming, and we're trying to protect that. I believe it's very clear that when you look at the tables, the RE is equestrian arena. 2 horses are allowed. When you read through the details, it's very clear that rural estates is a minimum lot size of 0.75 acres. The 4 in table 3.3, which is the only place that I guess if you want to make a case of it, you might try to, but it's pretty clear to me when you read through the master plan that it defines what is RE. I just read that and some of the excerpts, but it goes in great detail. R1 and 2, which is low density, and R3, which is medium density. They're all very well spelled out in the document. The only confusing part, I believe, that some say, is that in the table, it was just grouped in with LDR, low density residential, and all 4 of those are mentioned in that one area. I just ask that when you update the master plan, you take a hard look at that, and I will go to the Planning and Zoning Committee and ask them. I believe we are already sending my resolution in. I believe that's already in Planning and Zoning, or do I need to do something else?
If you'll contact Kathy, and then that will formally start the process.
Okay.
And then it will go to Planning and Zoning.
We have sent a letter to Kathy, Mayor, so thank you very much. So again, I'm Fred Von Ahrens, representing myself and my wife. Relative to all the heavy subjects that you had today, I appreciate your time. But this obviously is important to us, and we hope that we get clarification. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Would any other member of the public? Senator?
Good evening. Senator John Kolb, representing the majority of Rock Springs, north of town, asked me. I just hadn't had to explain that before, I suppose, but appreciate the opportunity. I'd like to just say that there's a lot of subjects here that are very important, from suicide prevention. I talk about not a little bit out of order, but the state puts in millions of dollars. Now, do I think all the things that they do are the most effective choices? Probably not. I think the statement, Mayor Mickelson, you read at the very end of that statement, where you stated about your friends and loved ones getting a hold of people and interacting with them, I think that is paramount to being successful, because out-of-state folks don't know what's going on around here, and I'm a firm believer in that. But there is a lot going on. No one's turning a blind eye. There's a lot of money being spent, and they're trying to do better than we're doing currently. And that's going to continue. Next, marijuana. I didn't expect that to come up, but I will tell the council that I am not a fan of legalizing marijuana. I will say, when I first started my political career as a commissioner, I was in favor of medical marijuana. But I soon found out a lot of facts that changed my mind, and I'm still open. I will tell anybody who is in favor of legalizing marijuana in the state of Wyoming is run a petition. Run a petition and have a ballot initiative asked, because you hear a lot of different things from folks. One group says, oh, the majority of the state loves it. Well, then if that's the case, I urge you to run a petition and get it on the ballot, because it's a slam dunk. But I will tell you, from all I've learned, it's a black hole of money. It causes mental issues. It is not the marijuana when I grew up. I was going to say my father's marijuana, but I guess I'm old enough, it was probably my marijuana. So, you know, that was a 2% THC product, and the stuff now is in excess of 30. I mean, it is crazy. I have no idea what that's like, but it's a crazy powerful drug now. It's been refined. It's like Everclear, you know, for an alcoholic, I suppose. But so I'm not in favor of it, but I'm willing to listen to what the council has to say and consider that. You do represent the city that I represent in a different way, but I'm interested in hearing the outcome of this. And Cheyenne can pretend like they can make all the laws they want, but as noted, they're not lawmakers. So thank you for your opinion, Cheyenne. It goes back to what I said, run a petition. I think that's probably the clearest answer for us. But more importantly, getting back to the RMP, that is a devastatingly bad choice for Wyoming, certainly for us here. It will, in fact, change our way of life. It will destroy our revenue. So anybody who wants some sort of services, you can probably forget that, because we're not going to have any revenue if we lose our minerals extractive revenue combined with our way of life. I think it's just a death blow to Wyoming to have that RMP move forward, because it's going to be a template for the future. And I just wanted to say that I sit on got to get all these committees I'm on right. Apologize for that. I'm on the Select Federal Natural Resource Management Committee, and and we are going to take up this topic. Okay, we are going to make a recommendation, but we also, as a committee, want input from the people that are, in this case, directly affected from this proposal. City of Rock Springs, the County Commission, Sweetwater County, the Governor's Office, all those folks are important players for hearing what you have to say, because it is, in fact, 1,200 pages. It is, in fact, 2 volumes. I went through it just trying to get a cursory understanding of it, because I thought I was going to be able to speak today on the issue earlier, but it didn't work out. So I'm here, and I just want to tell the council, these choices that we're talking about, the status quo is not so great. They keep all the wilderness study areas called WSAs. I'll try not to use acronyms, because I hated that when I didn't know what the acronym meant. So the WSAs all stand. I would phrase it like this: we're losing by half. Every time they make a change, we lose half. Then they make another change, we lose the quarter. Pretty soon we're done. And this, they've gone for the golden ring. It is a big change, and it's monumental, and it's going to be the template for the future. So, you know, at this point, I think, you know, I'm in favor of expending state resources on suits against the federal government to stop this, to slow this down, to tie it up in courts. I think we have to have, you know, people agreeing with that, our local leaders. But I see it as a devastating blow to our economy and to the way of life. And that's, like you say, we can't go out and use 2-track roads. They're going to, you know, just shut all those down. It's a power grab from Washington. And that's about as plain as simple as an explanation that I've come up with. They've got an opportunity to do this. They're going to shove it down our throat. And I don't think they're going to listen to one darn thing that we're going to say right now. They never listened to anybody with input. They disregarded the input they had received. The people that were involved with the RMP process, Conservation District, and, you know, they've been front and center with this, and CLG, Coalition of Local Governments, and they proposed language that was just totally disregarded. the whole process has been basically not followed, which I think is it's in our favor because you broke precedent by doing it this way. But I think it is a big, huge issue, and I would certainly hope that people that are concerned about the federal government taking over and basically making us into a true flyover state with nobody else in it, that they show up to the BLM meeting and voice their disapproval of this plan. I mean, try to be, straightforward, have a point, and try not to repeat someone else's point, try to say it in a new way, but we need our people to show up. We need them. This will feed into I believe, the whole process through the courts. It'll show that our people, the residents, don't approve, local leaders don't approve, but this is the biggest battle I was aware of that's come up, and it started when I was a county commissioner. I think it was 11 or 12, this process started. And then all of a sudden they spring it on everybody like, oh, here's your 1,200 pages, and good luck reading all that. But I stand here firmly against B. I think it's an encroachment on our civil liberties, on our way of life, and our future. My future, my children's future, and yours.
Senator Cole, is there any actions within states of combining efforts to fight this? Are you hearing anything out of Cheyenne that, that way that states can join together and fight this?
Councilor Patolo, Mayor, Councilor Patolo, that's a governor's choice on how they want to pursue this. I think that has happened before, and I assume if there's other states that have a similar opinion to us, we can join a suit, either through as an amicus, or there's other methods that we can join our efforts. I think that hasn't laid out yet. The governor is from what I know currently is disapproval of B. It's the end of what we do in the state. So I think, depending on how this process, I guess, driven by the governor as a chief executive, I'm believe that he is going to fight this, and we're going to have a challenge to what the federal ruling is, because I don't see them agreeing, like going, oh, gee, shucks, I was wrong. I shouldn't have said I wanted B. Frankly, I'm a supporter of C, which is a lessening. Status quo wasn't good, because it's still not good. WSAs haven't changed for decades, and now everything has changed with the WSA. But once they give them an inch, they take a mile, and here we sit trying to fight a battle that we just found out we have to fight. But on that meeting that's coming up next month on the 6th, it would be of a positive benefit to have a comment, either maybe by the council or by the mayor or someone representing this body, to come in on that meeting that we're going to have and voice your opinion about this proposal.
So October 6th?
Yes, Mayor.
And where?
Oh, I was assuming you go on Zoom. Hang on a second there, Mayor. I don't know where Senator Culp's going from time to time.
That's fair. I was just telling Councilor Hickerson earlier that next week is really too far in the future for me. I can only handle tomorrow. But if it's on the legislative calendar, I can just pull it up.
Yeah, sometimes there's Zoom meetings, Mayor, and sometimes they're in-person combination with Zoom. This one, I'm not sure where it's where it's going to be at the moment. I can get back to you and answer that question. It's kind of hard to follow where all these different meetings are at when you start getting into these type of committees. They're not standing committees, so they're not as easy to find.
If you would, I would appreciate that.
I will get back with you, Mayor.
I did reach out to Senator Lummis and Representative Hageman's office to tell them that, because they had come and met with us and asked, what are your priorities? What can we help you with? And I told them they could scratch everything we said, that this is our top priority, that this does not happen, because it is essentially a close-up shop and everyone should just move out because Wyoming is done if they move forward.
Yes, We will be, and I agree with that statement. I think it's early in the process. It's kind of caught everybody by surprise. I was informed by the chairman of that committee that this is the published RMP that just popped up, and so it's new to everybody. It's a big, huge thing. It takes a lot of time just to understand the way they wrote it, because I wasn't involved with it either. So I didn't understand why. I mean, how convoluted A, B, C, and D. A, status quo. B's crazy plan. C is the most, I don't know, amenable to me. And D was supposed to be the plan they worked out where they had local buy-in and they compromised. Well, apparently compromising us didn't get anywhere except for B. And that's what I understand today. And I'm still learning also because I have to be up to speed on this. But we're going to certainly want all of our leaders to make their point known about their feelings.
Yeah, well, I'll get with you on the dates for that, and then we'll share it out so that people know how they can provide the committee with feedback. I would make a suggestion on the state's approach to behavioral health services, that the regional service provider model is maybe not the most effective based on what's going on, that the block grants that they do is maybe not the best use of the state's money, and it should be looked at.
Mayor Mickelson, council, I never was a fan of the block model. It was regionalization. And I will say that I do not sit on labor health. Maybe that's a...
Are you telling me to yell at Fred?
Fred Baldwin. Yes, I'm ready to throw Senator Fred Baldwin under the bus.
Fair.
Fred's the chairman of said committee, and he is probably, for anybody who has any local health concern issues with services that involve the state, he's very effective. And you call up Senator Baldwin, and he gets right to it. I've had great success with some issues that have come up where he's taken care of it. He's been there for a while, knows it well. But to answer your question, I don't like the block grants. I didn't like the way they did it with the regionalization. I thought I didn't like the background story I'd heard about how it happened, and I don't know much more than that. But once again, Mayor Mickelson and council, I could look into that and find out more.
Very good. Thank you, Senator.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for hearing me.
Yes, sir.
Fred Von Ahrens on behalf of Genesis Alkali. Hadn't planned on this, but because of the gravity of the subject, just wanted to let the council know and mayor that as industry, we're going to get together. We're going to hire a consultant to be able to prepare our arguments. We'll answer them perhaps together in some areas, and others we'll do separately. But I'm also very active with the legislative body working on growth in Southwest Wyoming, and as you know. And we, with a lot of support from the legislative body and the mayor, the governor, we're really looking at TerraPower, carbon capture, many, many growth opportunities. We're just wrapping up our expansion at Genesis. Exxon's in the middle of their expansion. We've got other huge expansions coming our way. But I just want to let you know we've got the Mining Association, the industry in the area, and we're going to have a coalition to really do everything we can to get a voice of reason in this plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Would any other members of the public like to speak? Okay. With that, we will close petitions and public comments and move on to bills and claims, the first being for September 5th, 2023. Do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Demas?
I make a motion to approve bills and claims for September 5th, 2023.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
I have no idea who was first. You guys duke it out. Okay. Councilor Robinson seconded. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining?
Abstaining.
The motion passes with Counselor Pedri abstaining. And that brings us to salaries for August 22nd of 2023. Council, do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Counselor Demas?
I make a motion to approve the salaries for August 22nd, 2023.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Counselor Allen. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining?
Abstaining.
Okay, the motion passes with Counselor Pedri abstaining, which brings us to new business, the first being a request for transfer of a retail liquor license by 307 Horse Racing, Inc., doing business as 307 Horse Racing, located at 1030 Dewar Drive, Rock Springs, Wyoming. Do we have a motion?
Your Honor, move to approve.
Thank you, Counselor Botello. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Counselor Demas. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Our next item of new business is a request from the Engineering Operations and Public Services Department for permission to purchase a used street sweeper for the Streets Division in the amount of $296,817. Do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Counselor Demas?
I make a motion to approve this request.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Counselor Robinson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Our next item of new business is a request from Engineering Operations and Public Services for approval of a quote from Infinity Power and Controls for an energy efficiency street light retrofit. Do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Counselor Demas?
I make a motion to approve this request.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Counselor Hickerson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none from the council, I just would like to note that, especially with the proposed increases in our electric rates, this is very important that we find ways to be more energy efficient and reduce that cost. So with that, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining?
Abstain.
Thank you, Councilor Botello. The motion carries unanimously with Councilor Botello abstaining. Next is a request from the Parks and Recreation Department for permission to fill a vacant golf maintenance crew supervisor position at the White Mountain Golf Course. Is there a motion?
Your Honor, I move to approve this request.
Thank you, Councilor Hickerson. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Pedri. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Our next item is a request from the Fire Department for permission to fill a vacant captain position. Is there a motion?
Your Honor, move to approve this request.
Thank you, Councilor Botello. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Demas. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion passes unanimously. Next is a request from the Fire Department for permission to fill a vacant firefighter position. Is there a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Demas?
I make a motion to approve this request.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Botello. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Our second to the last item of new business for this evening is a request from the Rock Springs High School for approval of their homecoming parade route on September 27th, 2023, beginning at 4:15 p.m. Is there a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Demas?
I make a motion to approve this request.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Pedri. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Our final item of new business this evening is a request from Sweetwater Now for permission to serve alcohol in Bunning Park during their Fall into Fall Festival on September 23rd, 2023 from 11 a.m. until 4 p.m. Is there a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Hanson?
I move to approve this request.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Robinson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, which brings us to resolutions, the first being 2023-111.
A resolution accepting and approving a Sweetwater County Detention Center offender detention agreement between the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming and Sweetwater County Sheriff's Office, and authorizing Max Mickelson as mayor of the City of Rock Springs to execute said agreement on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilor Hickerson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Councilor Patillo?
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Matt, if you will, please.
Counselor Batolo,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Pedri,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Mayor Mickelson.
Yes. Okay, the motion carries unanimously, which brings us to our next resolution, 2023-112.
A resolution accepting and approving a tobacco inspection contract with the Wyoming Association of Sheriffs and Chief of Police, and authorizing Max Mickelson as mayor of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, to execute said contract on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Hanson?
I move to approve Resolution 2023-112.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Demus. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Matt, if you will.
Counselor Robinson,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Pedri,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Batolo,
Yes.
Mayor Mickelson.
Yes. Okay, the motion carries unanimously. Taking us to resolution 2023-113.
A resolution accepting and approving an alcohol inspection contract with the Wyoming Association of Sheriffs and Chiefs of Police, and authorizing Max Mickelson as mayor of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, to execute said contract on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilor Batolo. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Hickerson. Is there any discussion? Matt, if you will.
Counselor Allen,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Pedri,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Batolo,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Mayor Mickelson.
Yes. Motion carries unanimously. Bringing us to resolution 2023-114.
A resolution accepting and approving a contract between Stotz Equipment and the City of Rock Springs, and authorizing Max Mickelson as mayor of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk of the City of Rock Springs, to execute said contract on behalf of said city.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Demus?
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2023-114.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Robinson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Matt, if you will.
Counselor Demus,
Yes.
Pedri,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Batolo,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Mayor Mickelson.
Yes. Motion carries unanimously. Our next resolution is 2023-115.
A resolution accepting a quitclaim deed from County of Sweetwater, State of Wyoming, to the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, for real property situate in the County of Sweetwater in the State of Wyoming.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilor Bertolo. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Robinson. Excuse me. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Matt, if you will, please.
Counselor Pedri,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Batolo,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Mayor Mickelson.
Yes. Motion carries unanimously. We're in the final four, 2023-116.
A resolution accepting a quitclaim deed from County of Sweetwater, State of Wyoming, to the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, for real property situate in the County of Sweetwater in the State of Wyoming.
Council, do we have a motion?
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilor Hickerson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Thank you, Councilor Pedri. Hearing none. Matt, if you will, please.
Counselor Hickerson,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Batolo,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Pedri,
Yes.
Mayor Mickelson.
Yes. Motion carries unanimously. We're now on to Resolution 2023-117.
A resolution accepting and approving an interlocal agreement Justice Assistance Grant Program Award 2023 and accepting a memorandum of understanding between the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming and Sweetwater County and authorizing Max Mickelson as mayor of the City of Rock Springs and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming to execute said MOU on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilor Robinson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Hanson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Matt, please.
Councilor Hanson,
Yes.
Vitolo,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Pedri,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Mayor Mickelson.
Yes. Motion carries unanimously. That brings us to Resolution 2023-118.
A resolution approving the Sweetwater County Local Government Agencies Emergency Operations Plan and authorizing Max Mickelson as the mayor of the City of Rock Springs to execute the plan on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilor Hickerson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Demus. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I would just encourage everyone to make sure that they have a good working awareness of the plan so that if there is an emergency, we all know our roles. Chief Walmsley went through and worked with all the department heads to get everything up to date. And hopefully we never have to worry about it. But if we do, it turns out that we have actual duties that we would behoove us to be aware of. So with that, Matt, if you will, please.
Councilor Vitolo,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Pedri,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Mayor Mickelson.
Yes. Motion carries unanimously, bringing us to our final resolution of the evening, 2023-119.
A resolution accepting and approving improvements installed in the estates at Mustang Ridge Phase 1 subdivision of the City of Rock Springs, Sweetwater County, Wyoming, and accepting control and maintenance of the same pursuant to the provision of Rock Springs Ordinance Section 16807.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilor Hickerson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Demus. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Matt, if you'll walk us through for the final time this evening.
Councilor Robinson,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Pedri,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Vitolo,
Yes.
Mayor Mickelson.
Yes. Motion carries unanimously. That concludes resolutions for the evening and brings us to ordinances. We have ordinance 2023-07 on its first reading.
An ordinance amending Chapter 1, Article 1-5, Section 1502 of the ordinances of the City of Rock Springs entitled Councilman Bond and Duties.
Thank you. And then we have ordinance 2023-08 also on its first reading.
An ordinance repealing and replacing Article 11-7 of the ordinances of the City of Rock Springs entitled Private Television Franchise within Chapter 11 Franchises and Right-of-Ways.
Okay, and with that, our business is concluded and we are